After these things he departed from Athens and came to Corinthian. And he found a certain Jew named Aquila, a man of Pontus by race, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had commanded all the Jews to depart from Rome. And he came unto them, and because he was of the same tribe, he abode with them. And they wrought, for by their trade they were tent makers. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath, and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. But when Silas and Timothy came down from Macedonia, Paul was constrained by the word, testifying to the Jews that Jews was the Christ. And when they opposed themselves and blasphemy, he shook out his raiment and said unto them, Your blood be upon your own hands. I am clean, for henceforth I will go unto the Gentiles. And he departed thence, and went into the house of a certain man named Titus Justus, one that worshipped God, whose house joined hard to the synagogue. And Crispus, the ruler of the synagogue, believed in the Lord with all his house. And many of the Corinthians, hearing, believed, and were baptized. And the Lord said unto Paul in the night by a vision, Be not afraid, but speak and hold not thy peace, for I am with thee, and no man shall set on thee to harm thee. For I have much people in the city. And he dwelt there a year and 6 months, teaching the word of God among them. But when Gallio was proconsul of Asia, the Jews with one accord rose up against Paul and brought him before the judgment seat, saying, This man persuaded men to worship God contrary to the law. But when Paul was about to open his mouth, Gallio said unto the Jews, If indeed it were a matter of wrong or wicked villainy, O ye Jews, reason, would that I should bear with you. But if they are questions about words and names and your own law, look to it yourselves. I am not minded to be a judge of these matters. And he drove them from the judgment seat. And they all laid hold on Sothenes, the ruler of the synagogue, and beat him before the judgment seat. And Gallio cared for none of these things. And Paul, having tarried after this yet many days, took his leave of the brethren, and sailed thence for Syria, with him Priscilla and Aquila, having shrown his head in Cythera, for he had a vow. And they come to Ephesus. He left them there, but he himself entered into the synagogue and reasoned with the Jews. And when they asked him to abide a longer time, he consented not, but taking his leave of them, and saying, I will return again unto you, if God will be set sail from Ephesus. And when he had landed at Caesarea, he went up and saluted the church, and went down to Antioch. And having spent some time there, he departed and went through the region of Galatia and Phrygia, in order to establish all the disciples. Now a certain Jew named Apollos, an Alexandrian by race, an eloquent man, came to Ephesus, and he was mighty in the Scriptures. This man had been instructed in the ways of the Lord, and being fervent in spirit, he spake and taught accurately the things concerning Jesus. Knowing only the baptism of John, he began to speak boldly in the synagogue. But Priscilla and Aquila heard him. They took him unto them, and expounded unto him the way of God more accurately. And when he was minded to pass over into Achaia, and brethren encouraged him, and wrote to the disciples to receive him, and when he was come, he helped them much that he had believed through grace, for he powerfully confuted the Jews, and that publicly showing by the scriptures that Jesus was Christ. This is the book of Acts, chapter 18.